Okay, so we are running a little bit behind schedule here. I was supposed to start like, I don't know, 5 minutes ago. I said on my Instagram story that I was gonna like stream in like 10 minutes, but 10 minutes turned into 50 minutes because I had to go take a quick bathroom break. But anyways, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna be talking about the Xfinity race at Las Vegas that happened yesterday. And that race was a bit of a doozy, to be fair. This race was windy as hell. I believe the broadcast stated that there were like 32 miles per hour sustained winds with gusts up to 65, 70 miles an hour. You get the point. It was really cloudy too. It wouldn't have surprised me if one of the drivers on the day lost a roof flap, like what happened with Bailey Curry last week at Atlanta. If you remember the truck race last week at Atlanta, it was very windy too. But bit of a spoiler warning. There were no such incidents, no roof flaps, no debris cautions. But the track conditions were pretty extreme on that front, and with those huge wind gusts, that upset the balance of the cars. That wasn't the case in qualifying. Qualifying was pretty sunny, not that windy. Can attribute that to the fact that whenever NASCAR rolls into a track on race day, the balance of nature is upset because Mother Nature is NASCAR's biggest fan or biggest hater. I don't know. But it was cloudy basically all race long, and as soon as the Xfinity race ended, it started sunny. Like as soon as the winner was heading into victory lane, I saw the sun coming out, and I was like, seriously, we could have held a race. We could have had a race in like the sunshine with clear skies, because the truck race was pretty clear too, relatively clear skies, so there were no clouds there. But anyways, let's get on with it. For the first time this season, RCR was not on the pole. It's not really surprising because RCR, the same team starting on the pole, it was pretty unrealistic. This isn't Formula One, but yeah, just wanted to point that out. Cole Custer, defending series champion, started on the pole with Chandler Smith in second. The first time, again, like I said, first time this season, RCR, they don't sweep the pole. They don't win the pole or even start in the front row for that matter. Also, the first time this season that the Chevrolets, they do not look as dominant. If you remember, Chevrolet, they had this streak of, I believe it was 7, 8 straight races of qualifying, or not really qualifying, just winning races, dating back to the championship race at Phoenix in 2023, and all the way up until today. Chevrolet had like an 8-race streak of winning races in all 3 national series. I believe after last week at Atlanta, it was also like the first time in NASCAR history that a manufacturer had managed to sweep the first 2 races on each of the 3 national touring series, which surprising, something that has never really happened before. I thought it had happened at some point before, like in the older days, like in the 90s or the early 2000s, back when Chevrolet was even stronger back then. But no, it actually, this is the first time in history it happens. Of course, since 1995, which is when NASCAR has had the 3 national touring series. But yeah, Chevrolet just didn't roll up into the Xfinity race looking pretty strong. The highest qualifying Chevrolet was, Allmendinger in third, Parker Retzlaff in fourth, continuing his surprising start to the season. Austin Hill, the guy to beat this season. A lot of people are pegging him as an early championship favorite already. He finished fifth. Ryan Sieg, a surprising qualifying run. He starts sixth. Parker Kligerman seventh. Sammy Smith eighth. Sheldon Creed 9th, and Eric Almirola making his first Xfinity start on the season. He will be starting 10th. Almirola is not running the 20 car on this race. The 20 car is still running at John Hunter Nemechek, who's going to be running 10 Xfinity races this season, and Almirola will be racing the rest of them. But yeah, Almirola is going to be running most of the season. This kind of took me by surprise because I thought I saw the announcement that Almirola was going to make his first start of the season at Vegas, and I thought it was going to be on the 20 car. No. Almirola is actually going to be running the 19, the other All-Star car. Because if you know Joe Gibbs Racing, they have like 2 All-Star cars, one with John Hunter and Almirola, which is a 20, and then the 19, which is like the other All-Star car that has like more driver variety. Speaking of John Hunter, he started 12th in this race with Riley Herbst right in between the 2 JGR cars in 11th. The winner of the last time we went to Las Vegas, Riley Herbst won in pretty dominant fashion, won by I believe half a lap, 14 seconds. Jesse Love, the guy who got swept the poles in each of the first 2 races of the season, he will be starting 15th. Then Corey Heim making his first Xfinity start of the season in 16th. Brennan Poole in 18th. Leland Honeyman, who has been pretty surprising. I kind of expected that Young's Motorsports team to qualify a bit further back in the field, but they've had a pretty surprisingly okay start to the season, better than I expected. He's putting that Young's Motorsports 42 in the top 20, so shout out to him. And right now the top 20 is Kyle Weatherman. Other drivers that are starting further back in the field, Shane Van Gisbergen making his first intermediate start on the season. I had a lot of expectations for him. Not really that many expectations for him, but I was like looking forward to see what he could do now that he's driving at an oval track, an actual oval, not like a super speedway oval. Finally getting some like true mile-and-a-half cookie cutter experience. I was really looking forward to that. Hailie Deegan 28th, what people are calling now her best track, because that's the only track that she has experience driving an Xfinity car in. So she has some expectations there. And then Josh Williams in 32nd, a bit further back in the field. And then Sage Karam in 35th, driving the third Jordan Anderson car that makes another appearance on the 32. And then Justin Allgaier in 36. He did not post a qualifying time. He suffered a flat tire in his warm-up lap. He didn't qualify. He had an amazing save though. That car was I thought that car was definitely a goner, but Allgaier made an amazing save to keep it clean. He didn't post a qualifying lap though, because he had a flat tire in his warm-up lap. A guy that had to go to a backup car though was Anthony Alfredo. He did not post a lap either due to crashing his primary car in practice, and he was unable to post a qualifying lap because of that. Because the team was preparing the backup car that they were supposed to use for Phoenix, they had to prepare it for Vegas. So because of that, they missed qualifying. And then finally, Joey Gase. Anthony Alfredo would have started at the tail end of the field, but Joey Gase started 38th instead. He will start at the rear after his qualifying time was disallowed. An issue with that NACA docked, I believe. I don't know what that's all about. I don't want to get into too much of the specifics, but Joey Gase started at the rear because his qualifying time was disallowed. He didn't fail to qualify though, because like last week, only 38 cars showed up to the race. So Allgaier, Alfredo, Joey Gase, and also Blaine Perkins starting from the rear due to unapproved adjustments. So yeah, like I said, only 38 cars, no one failed to qualify. As soon as the race begins, stage 1, Allmendinger, he takes Cole Custer and Chandler Smith 3 wide on the first lap after the double zero just spins his tires. But because of the high wind upsetting the balance of the car, they are unable to make it stick. 3 wide is really dicey. And like we saw at the truck race last night, or like on Friday, because I'm recording this on Sunday, by the way. The wind was upsetting the balance of the car so much, even more so than in the truck race. But even in the truck race, you could see when a driver was when someone took it 3 wide, like someone was battling 3 wide, the guy that usually was in the middle lane, they got into the sucker hole. They kind of got sucker holed out, and they just lost all of the handling. This was, of course, exacerbated by the winds, by the high wind. So this unfortunately causes Cole Custer to drop back because he was the guy caught in the middle. Chandler Smith comes out of it with the lead as he was running on the outside of turns 3 and 4. And Austin Hill, who was right behind him, he also moves up to second past Allmendinger. but not for long, as John Hunter Nemechek quickly makes ground and passes the 21 a few laps later. One of the early biggest movers of the race. In just like 5 laps, he made it from 12 all the way up to second. The action was halted just 5 laps in due to Parker Retzlaff getting loose in turn 4 and making contact with Sam Mayer. Heavy damage on the left side of the 31 and the right side of the 1. Retzlaff is able to continue a couple of laps down, but as for Sam Mayer, the damage is too severe for him to continue, and he has to DNF. And you know, lost in all of this early season craziness, Sam Mayer has really had a dismal start to the season. A car crash at Daytona, then running out of fuel on overtime at Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, he still managed to salvage an 11th place finish out of that race, but he could have had a chance to compete for the win still. And then now another early crash at Las Vegas. Mayer is digging himself into a hole this early in the season. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal considering that I haven't won a couple of races, and he's eventually gonna, as the season goes on, he's eventually gonna recover from that. But a little bit disappointing. I expect Mayer to have at the very least like a top 5 run at the by the first 3 races of the season. But anyways, the restart was very similar to the start of the race. Allmendinger again takes a 3-1 the 2 Joe Gibbs Toyotas. And once again, John Hunter Nemechek is a big loser here because he's caught 3 wide middle, which is not optimal, like I said. So once again, Allmendinger moves up to second behind Chandler Smith, but not for long, as Austin Hill takes second place back again, and John Hunter Nemechek moves back up through the field again. So again, consider this like a carbon copy, almost like a carbon copy of stage 1. You have Chandler Smith leading after Allmendinger making a 3 wide move. Chandler Smith comes out of the lead. Allmendinger and Austin Hill battle for second until John Hunter Nemechek swoops in and passes them both to get second. We also had a close call, just like what happened with Parker Retzlaff. Ryan Ellis getting loose and spinning on turn 4, like the same spot where Parker Retzlaff spun. But he saves it though. He doesn't hit anyone, and there is no caution. Another issue that I saw through the race, early in the race, SVG, Van Gisbergen, with an engine issue, overheating, I believe. I don't know, could have been overheating. Maybe he dropped the cylinder. I don't really know, but it was an engine issue. He had to go to the garage, and unfortunately, he never returned. Disappointing, considering I was really looking forward to him getting some like intermediate oval experience. But yeah, stage 1 goes green the rest of the way. Chandler Smith wins stage 1 after opening up like a 2-second lead over the second place car of John Hunter Nemechek. Austin Hill in 3rd, Riley Herbst 4th, Cole Custer 5th, AJ Allmendinger finishes 6th. Then Allgaier, after starting from the rear, he makes it all the way up to 7th. Parker Kligerman, Ryan Sieg, and Brandon Jones are the stage point gainers. Then we go to pit road. Austin Hill and Riley Herbst, they come out of it 1-2 over the Joe Gibbs Racing cars. Chandler Smith had a slow stop, dropped back to 7th. So it's Hill and Herbst 1-2. 21 wins the race of pit road for stage 2. And on the restart, Hill manages to clear ahead of Riley Herbst and John Hunter Nemechek for the lead. Part of that was because 98 and the 20 had a close call, with the 98 just moving up just in front of the 20. This battle for second, however, turns into the battle for the lead not long after, as Austin Hill gets debris on his grill, rhyming accidentally, and he has to let the leaders by in order to clear his grill in the draft. He eventually does, but by that point he has fallen down to 7th. John Hunter Nemechek, Riley Herbst have taken over the top 2 spots, and Chandler Smith, he has recovered to make it over up to 3rd after restarting 7th. So stage 2 goes green all the way until the end, with John Hunter, Riley Herbst, and Chandler basically in the top 3 all race long. Basically the entirety of the stage staying in the top 3. It eventually culminates in a battle between teammates in the 20 and the 81. And despite John Hunter Nemechek having the clean air, which was very important, especially with the windy track conditions, Chandler Smith manages to pounce on the last lap and he makes a crossover after making a crossover move, which it was very reminiscent of the way he won the 2022 truck race at Las Vegas. If you remember that race where he just broke Zane Smith's ankles and he held off Kyle Busch as well. I still remember that race, even if it was like 2 years ago. But that's one of my favorite Chandler Smith wins in the truck series that I can remember. That pass for the stage win, it was pretty methodical too, very textbook. He just moved up high in turns 1 and 2, and then on the backstretch to get the run, and then on the backstretch, as soon as John Hunter moved up to block the run, he just ducked down inside, crossed him over, and passed him on the inside in turns 3 and 4. And John Hunter, he had basically had the fastest car like that entire run in the long run on stage 2. And he was also the car to beat, at the very least for the first half of the race. Chandler had the car to beat. John Hunter obviously saw that. He was gonna race his teammate as much as he could, but at the moment the 81 got to his side, he was like, yeah, okay, you got me. Especially since John Hunter, he's now racing full-time in Cup. He knows that he can only battle his other teammates like so much without compromising their situation, because when they run in Xfinity, they're racing. When he runs in Xfinity, he's no longer an Xfinity driver, so he has to understand. He basically understands that the 81, he's running for something bigger than just than the 20 car is every time they drop down to Xfinity. So Chandler Smith, he sweeps both stages with that as well. Like I said, he established himself early on as a guy to beat at the very least for the first half of the race. John Hunter second, Riley Herbst third. Like I said, 81, 20, and 98. They were, in my opinion, the 3 best cars the entire race. Although, the Toyotas, those 2 Toyotas were like on a league of their own, I would say. At least for the first half of the race. In the second half, like, things changed quite a bit, but 20, 81, 98, they were overall the 3 fastest cars on the race. And it was Justin Allgaier 4th, Allmendinger 5th, Austin Hill in 6th. He never recovered his track position after dropping back to address the debris on the grill situation. Jesse Love 7th. He had a very, very fast car on that stage 2 run. I definitely thought he was going to stay in the top 10 after stage 2, but obviously, again, some things changed over time. Parker Kligerman, Cole Custer, and Ryan Sieg rounded out the top 10. And then we go to pit road at Chandler Smith. He held the lead this time. He actually won the race of pit road this time, with Riley Herbst getting the jump on John Hunter for 2nd, and Cole Custer moving up to 6th as well, after falling back to 9th a little bit. Despite being the pole sitter, he didn't lead any laps, which it's a bit disappointing and frustrating. Starting from the pole and not being able to lead a single lap. That's gonna low key be one of the most frustrating things in motorsports, when you start from the pole and just are unable to lead a single lap. I know they do not give bonus points anymore for leading a lap, but it's still kinda it's one of those little pet peeves that really pisses me off when the pole sitter isn't able to even lead the first lap. But anyways, we go to stage 3, and picking up where they left off, John Hunter, Chandler Smith, they immediately go to war. The 20 car prevails after staying side by side for 3 laps, despite the 81 coming back for a couple of laps. Despite John Hunter holding the lead, though, Chandler stays with him the entire run, always like 0.3 of a second behind at most. And as the run goes on, it just becomes impossible for John Hunter to hold him off any longer. He eventually gets past 17 laps into the run, so a bit after halfway. And Riley Herbst in 3rd, closing in on both of them, but not quite to make a run at the lead. Like I said, those JGR Toyotas, especially the 20 and the 81, they were just in a different league. Then a caution comes out for Parker Retzlaff, stalled on pit road exit. I believe he had a fuel pump issue. That caused him to DNF, by the way, so, disappointing, especially after 2 straight top 5s. And then we go to pit road. Despite being outside the fuel window, everyone pits for tires because, They still have to make one more pit stop, but they still have a set of sticker tires left. So why not take it? Why not take those tires now? John Hunter wins the race of pit road over Chandler Smith, and Austin Hill moves up to third over Riley Herbst and Allgaier. And on the restart, Hill tries to take advantage of his new track position to challenge the JGR duo. But like I said, the Toyotas were just in another league on this race. John Hunter and Chandler Smith, they stay 1-2, and they resume their battle for the lead. This time, however, and this is the moment where like the entire race, the complexity of the race changed. John Hunter Nemechek prevailed this time. Usually Chandler Smith had prevailed over the 20 on the long runs. This time it was the 20 who got the upper hand as the handling of the car went away. I don't know what adjustment they made on the 81, but that car went from the car to beat, or a car that could challenge the 24 to win, to a car that could like be top 3, top 5 at best, but could no longer challenge for the win. So Chandler, he lost the second place to Herbst. He fell to third, and John Hunter just started like pulling away. Riley Herbst, he did his best. He managed to stay like 9/10, 1 second, 1.1 seconds, like right in that threshold behind John Hunter until green flag pit stops happened with 35 laps to go. I believe Brandon Jones was the first guy that started the cycle. And as soon as he does, this pulls other guys down pit road. Chandler Smith, Sammy Smith, Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Riley Herbst. Those are the drivers that they just pitted the very next lap. And then the lap after that, Allmendinger, Jesse Love, Corey Heim, and eventually the leader, John Hunter Nemechek. Compared to the Truck Series, this green flag pit cycle was more cleaner, like in the sense that there were not that many penalties. There was only one penalty on this green flag cycle compared to like the 6 or 7 that we had on Friday in the truck race. It was only Jeff Burton for speeding on pit road. Eventually, only 8 drivers were yet to stop. Those drivers were Allgaier, Almirola, Josh Williams, Sheldon Creed, Brennan Poole, Honeyman, Weatherman, Anthony Alfredo. Those 8 guys stayed out. They tried to like extend the fuel window for as much as they could in case a caution came out. It never did. The race just ended up finishing under green, which unfortunately meant that all of these guys, they eventually had to pit. Almirola and Alfredo, they came down first. Then Creed, Weatherman, Leland Honeyman, Allgaier, Brennan Poole. All of these guys, they pitted. And this eventually left Josh Williams out as the lone man, obviously hoping for a caution that never came out. He is eventually forced to pit with 10 laps to go, because even if he stayed out, he was like in fuel safe mode, and John Hunter, the leader John Hunter, was just closing in on him really quick. He was making up more than a second per lap. So if you're as the leader who's saving fuel, you're making the second place car is making more than or like the first car on the cycle, the first car on fresh tires and fuel is making more than a second a lap while you are saving fuel. You're probably not in a good spot, especially since you were gonna make it in on fuel anyways. He is eventually forced to pit with 10 laps to go, and this hands the lead back to John Hunter Nemechek. At this point, he has already opened up a 5-second lead over Riley Herbst, Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, as those 5 cars, they just bunched together and battled for second. And in the end, John Hunter just has nothing to worry about. He just cruises to victory. His first win of the season, the first one for the 20 car, and also the first win for a manufacturer, not Chevrolet, because like I said, Chevrolet, they had this streak of 7 straight wins. They had won like the 500 Daytona weekend. They won with Nick Sanchez, Austin Hill, William Byron. All those 3 guys were Chevy drivers. Then at Atlanta, Kyle Busch, Austin Hill again, and Daniel Suarez on that awesome 3-wide photo finish. Those 3 guys were Chevy drivers as well. And then on Friday, Raja Caruth won at Las Vegas. So if you were counting at home, 7 straight wins for Chevrolet to start off the season, and they had a streak of 8 straight dating back to Chastain's to Chastain's Cup win at Phoenix on championship weekend, him spoiling the championship 4 party. If you want to count that win as well, that's 8 straight wins for Chevrolet. That streak has been snapped because Toyota, they just got the jump on Chevrolet. And as a matter of fact, Ford, even if it was just like Stewart-Haas Racing, the Fords, they just got the jump on them because Cole Custer won the pole, Chandler Smith on the front row, so there were no Chevrolets on the front row. The race was dominated by the Toyotas, and Riley Herbst, he was like the 3rd best car behind the 20 and the 81 all race long. And then Cole Custer, he started on the pole. He didn't lead a lap, or at the very least, I don't think he did. He may have led a lap during green flag pit stops, but I don't really know. Can't really recall if he did, but Cole Custer, his car just came alive in that final green flag round before that. After that final round of green flag pit stops, his car just came alive, and he's to the point that he was like a top 5 car once again. So even if it was just like 2 Fords, Toyota and Ford, they were superior to the Chevrolet. The Chevrolets, they just looked like the weaker of the 3 manufacturers for the first ever time on the season. Again, this is obviously, I don't think this is gonna matter that much in the end, as I do still think Chevrolet is gonna sweep all three manufacturer titles by the end of the season. Like, they are the favorites to sweep like they did last season. So anyways, John Hunter wins. Like I said, Cole Custer finished 2nd. Great recovery at the end on that final green flag pit stop. I wish he would have started the race like that, because then it would have been like an awesome 4-car battle between the 20 and the 81 and the Stewart-Haas Racing cars. But yeah, Cole Custer came out the winner in the battle for 2nd. Chandler Smith in 3rd, Austin Hill in 4th, Riley Herbst in 5th. That's how the battle for 2nd ended up getting figured out between those 4. And then running out the top 10, AJ Allmendinger in 6th, Ryan Sieg in 7th. He stayed top 10 the entire race, which was pretty impressive. And then Sammy Smith, Brendan Jones, and Justin Allgaier. JN Motorsports, they look a little bit on the weak side, especially Allgaier. I definitely expected him to, after making that late pit stop, I thought he was gonna make some time on the leaders, but he never did. He cycled back 9th after making his final pit stop a bit later than the rest of the leaders. Again, I definitely expected him to make some ground and maybe finish like 7th or 6th. Maybe even compete for a top 5 with those guys like Custer and the others, but unfortunately he stayed 9th, and then he eventually got passed by Brandon Jones at the end. He finishes 10th. A bit disappointing, but still. Eric Merlin 12th and Corey Heim in 13th. And then Josh Williams in 14th. He wasn't able to get the race. He took the gamble at Las Vegas, the Vegas gamble. It didn't work, but he still managed to get a solid top 15 finish out of it. Haley Digan in 15th, the highest finishing rookie, over Anthony Alfredo, over Jesse Love, 17th. Jesse Love was overall better. I felt, like I said, after stage 2, when he was finishing top 10th, and he got like a top 10 car, he got some stage points, but I don't know, something happened on that car. Like, the handling of the car went away in the second half of the race, and he was unable to keep his track position. But still, shout out to Haley Deegan. She finished 15th. Yeah, this is a track that she has experience on, but again, that's to be expected. But still, a great finish from her, regardless. Anthony Alfredo in 16th, Leland Honeyman in 18th. Again, great showing for him on that Young's Motorsports car. Brendan Poole to 19th. I also want to give a big shout out to Brendan Poole, by the way. 3 top 20 finishes to start the season on that Offer Prime Racing. And Kyle Sieg with a top 20 as well. That RSS Racing team, outside of Ryan Sieg, that RSS Racing team has seen very little success outside of that 39 car. So for Kyle Sieg to finally be in the top 20, so for that team to finally somebody stepping up aside from Ryan, Kyle Sieg top 20, that's cool. Jeb Burton in 23rd after that speeding penalty, and Sheldon Creed in 26th. Sheldon Creed was clearly the weakest of the 4 JGR cars, because Almirola, he finished 12th. He was able to he was able to finish to run top 10 at times at times at some points during the race. I believe he got some stage points out there as well. Obviously, the 20 and the 81 were clearly superior, but Almirola, he managed to run top 10 at times. Sheldon Creed, no, that wasn't the case for Sheldon Creed. He was like top 15 for most of the race, and then during that final cycle of green flag pit stops, he got to make an extra pit stop for left side tires with like 10 laps to go after he reported a vibration. So because of that, he finished 3 laps down in 26, but he would have finished like somewhere around top 20. I don't know if he would have finished higher than Hailie Deegan. It looks like Hailie Deegan was even outrunning Sheldon Creed in that car. And it's not a good day when you get outrun by AM Racing or Jordan Anderson or Alpha Prime. You know you're not having a very good day. So again, it kind of pissed me off though that people were calling like Sheldon Creed a fraud. They were quick to call him Sheldon Creed like a fraud, overrated, when this is literally the first race he has ever finished outside the top 5 in, because he finished the first 2 races in the top 5. I don't care that they're super speedways. A top 5 is a top 5. Okay, a good result is a good result. So the fact that people were just so quick to give up on Sheldon Creed just 2 races into the season, on the first non-super speedway race of the season, no less, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But yeah, other than that, let's moving down through the finishing order. Parker Retzlaff in 35th. Again, he got into that incident with Sam Mayer early in the race and then his entire race went south from that. Again, just like Sheldon Creed, first race he finishes outside the top 5. And I don't hear anyone talking about Retzlaff. I hear people bashing on Sheldon Creed, but not Retzlaff. But okay. Again, I'm just nothing against Parker Retzlaff. I like the guy as well, but I just find it a bit hypocritical that people are just bashing on Sheldon Creed for a 26th place finish when Parker Retzlaff, this is also his first. He also finished top 5 in both races, and he also finished outside. He had a bad result at Las Vegas, just like Sheldon Creed. So again, just saying. Also, Sage Karam, he got a really tough race. He started the race on pit road with a mechanical issue. He came back to the track 40 laps down, but then on stage 3, he came down with a transmission issue, and that was all for him. He never came back on the track. Then, of course, SVG, Van Gisbergen, 37th place finish with an engine failure. And Sam Mayer, 38th, last place finish for him. But yeah, that's all. It was a cloudy, windy race for sure. Fortunately, it didn't rain. What made me really upset, like I said, what made me really upset was that the sun came out right after the race ended. Mother Nature is just an absolute bitch, because that race was cloudy, windy, but as soon as John Hunter Nemechek takes the checker flag, the sun comes out. The sunshine comes out in the late afternoon. Like, you just cannot make this up. The broadcast, it was pretty okay. The Fox broadcast was pretty okay. They missed some stuff on the track, like the Ryan Ellis spin in stage 1. They had to make when they came back from commercial. I don't know if they came back from commercial to show that, but I know Adam Alexander made a point to show something that happened, the incident with the 43 that happened like in stage 1 a couple of laps earlier. Like he said, yeah, this happened a couple of laps ago. To be fair though, this is understandable because they said, like at the start of the race, they said like a disclaimer because of the strong winds. There were like no cameramen. Those cameras at the top of the track were like unattended. So because of that, I'm not gonna give Fox like a lot of shit for the poor coverage that they provided on this race. But even then, I'm gonna say their coverage was, even with them with their camera crew being understaffed on that department, I feel like the coverage and the broadcast, it was overall better than what they provided us during the truck race. Yeah, part of that has to be because of the broadcast booth. Adam Alexander and Joey Logano are pretty good, especially when Keselowski is there. Like Cindric, Cindric was there, but I feel like Keselowski was better alongside Logano and Adam Alexander at Atlanta. Other than that, though, it was a pretty meh race. It had its moments, sure, but overall, this race was just not as good as a truck race. And I feel like this is the first time in a long time I've ever said that. Uh, First time in a long time the Xfinity race was not as good as the truck race. Like the truck race was just better. Like especially in the with the narrative surrounding Raja Karuth. This time it was just the only thing I can think about of this race. The only takeaway is that Chevrolet, their streak has been snapped, and finally a car that's not a Chevrolet won a race for the first time this season. So pretty disappointing, especially since I feel like Xfinity has produced the weakest racing out of the 3 series. I mean, the truck race at Daytona was a mess. Atlanta was just bad, but then Las Vegas kind of made up for it. The Cup race, they had Daytona 500. The finish, be damned, that was some great racing towards the end, even with the controversial finish. And then Atlanta just was an all-time finish. With that all-time finish. The Vegas race, I mean, we still need to see what's up with that, but the Gen 7 car has been pretty good on intermediate, so I expect a pretty good race. Xfinity has been pretty weak, because Daytona was just meh. It was better than trucks, but not as good as the Daytona 500. And then Atlanta was just as bad as a truck race. It was just a fuel mileage grind. And then Vegas was just meh, while the truck race was just pretty good. So yeah, there's an argument to be made that Xfinity has been the weakest series out of the 3. But other than that, again, I don't have much to say. Just getting ready for the Cup race. At the time I'm wrapping up this video, it's almost 3 p.m. my time. That's like 2 p.m. That should be like 2 p.m. Eastern time, if we're being honest. Yeah, it should be 2 p.m. Eastern time. Anyways, I'm just wrapping this up, and hopefully we get to see a good Cup race again. I don't have much to say. Peace out.